Ghana, good morning. Welcome to news from here on GHOne Television. We're live from our studios at the Platinum Place, North Ridge, and also live on Facebook, on X, and on YouTube at GHOne TV. Now, here's what to expect in the next 60 minutes. Security consultant Professor GHOne proposes deployment of National Signals Bureau to ascertain veracity of statement of Esutufi North MP Mensah. Also, Ghana Armed Forces arrest suspects in connection with shooting of immigration officers in Tempane. We'll hear from Yendi MP who wants insurance packages for immigration officers. In business, the Soya Value Chain Association of Ghana is calling on government to immediately lift the soybean export ban, warning that the restriction is threatening the livelihoods of thousands of farmers nationwide. And on the foreign front, coup leader enters Guinea's presidential race, breaking an earlier promise to hand power to a civilian government. Well, stay with me for the details of these stories and more. Well, grateful for your company this morning. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Details now. And security consultant Professor GHOne, he is urging government to deploy the National Signals Bureau to help unravel the truth in the statement made by the Member of Parliament for Esutufi North, Mensah. Now, it follows the MP's alleged involvement in mobilizing about 600 young people, we're told, who besieged the Shidiam police station, demanding the release of persons who had been arrested by the NIMOS team in the area for alleged involvement in illegal mining. But the MP claims the account of the NIMOS team is untrue. For which reason, he also mentions that the Member of Parliament for Esutufi South, Collins Dauda, had called him to intervene in the melee. But speaking on state of affairs last night with me, Professor GHOne indicated that Ghana possesses the technical capability to be able to determine and analyze call logs and time stamps to establish communication links. He stressed that such investigative tools must be deployed as a matter of urgency to be able to ensure accountability and unravel the truth.
We have enough technological capacity to take a cell phone and to see the timestamp, who called who when. So I don't think we should waste time. Let's use the Signals Bureau to help us to get to the bottom of who called who and where he was going. Do we go for funerals and divert and suddenly 600 people appear? I'm very comfortable where I am sitting because I have predicted this will happen. And let us bet, if we don't crack the whip, in 6 months' time, there will be outright shooting in our villages and Galamsey side because they are well armed, they are connected, and they will fight back to protect the wealth that they have.
All right, so let's get some perspectives on this conversation. Let's speak to Deputy Executive Director for Tropimbos Ghana, Abuachi Chumesi. He's joining me via phone. So, Mr. Chumesi, thank you so much for joining me. So, really, to what extent do you think that the continuation of illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey, could be attributed to complicity when it comes to government officials or persons in power and the inability to be able to crack down on such persons?
All right. Thank you. I think I would say this is to a large extent because even before now, where for some years now, we've been seeing politicians going to the Galamsey pit, assuring them of protection and all that. And so for me, when this news came up, it wasn't of a surprise to me. However, what really shocked me was the fact that before President Mahama came into office, he was saying that the previous government was only targeting the boys in the pit who were not really the powers behind the activity, and that he wouldn't allow that. And so it would be very shocking, and it is very shocking that even until now, we have not really heard of any serious action taken. And I go to side with Professor Enin about the fact that we have the technology to really unravel the truth and the details about this whole activity, but really nothing untoward as to that direction has been heard. We have not heard the president as of now taking an action against these party members that are doing those things. And I think that as a serious nation, if we want to really deal with this activity, then whoever is named, the same aggression with which the security apparatus is dealing with some popular persons in the Galamsey issues, namely like people like GHOne to me and all that, should be applied in this situation so that we will know that the government in power is targeting the illegal activity and not really opponents of his party. So for me, I think that it takes the political will, and for now, not until a decisive action is taken in this direction to deal with the people that are named in the attack of the Naimo personnel, then we will not see that the government is serious at really working against the menace.
It's quite intriguing because consistently we've had governments talk about the fact that they are very committed to the fight against illegal mining. I recall President Akufo-Addo saying that he was putting his presidency on the line. John Dramani Mahama also affirming commitment to stamping out illegal mining. But from the experience that you have garnered working in space, what could be the reason why these politicians, despite giving the assurances, are unable to walk the talk?
Yes, I am as surprised as you are because we have seen them giving strong promises. And what is worrying is the fact that if indeed any president, any head of state really means business as stopping it, I agree with some of the ministers who mentioned before they came to power that it can be tackled within 2 weeks. Because in any case, what it takes is the political will. Because when it comes to the security, when it comes to the machinery, state institutions to tackle the menace, we have it all. It is all about the political will to deal with the situation. Is the president willing to deal squarely with his party MP that has been named? I believe that now, if it were to be an opposition person that was involved, the person would have been picked up in a Rambo style, as we have been seeing in recent times. But do they have the political will to actually deal with the situation as it should, devoid of political biases? And that is the worry. For me, I would want President Mahama to stand by his words that we should not only target the boys in the pit, but also the people behind. And so if people have been named, no matter how big they are in his political party, he should have the political will to bring them out and let them face the law squarely as any other citizen would have faced. And so that is the situation. That is what I will say. And that is my expectation, that with immediate effect and as soon as possible, the president should take action and own the situation as the head of state, that he does not entertain these activities and will not countenance it in his government or anyone that is from his party. And so if we do not go that direction, then we will keep going on in circles and we will be destroying our own future as a people.
Do you get the impression that as a nation we really want to stamp out illegal mining based on the mechanisms that we've deployed so far?
For me, as far as from where I sit and what I see always going to the field and my experiences and encounter with community people in such areas, I think that all it takes is leadership and commitment of leadership. But none of the leaders have really shown complete commitment to fighting the menace, because it is all about when it is my term in power, I cannot really talk about the people around me when they are involved. But when I am out, then I can do that. It is really unfortunate. And I'm not seeing that willpower, that political will for people, for the president, for the ministers, for people that we have put in places of authority to act for us. And I think that the citizenry really have to show a lot of anger to push them, to compel the politicians, the political powers that be, to really act. Because for me, from where I sit, there has not been enough commitment from them. And that if we are going to leave the situation as it is now, then we are doomed, because they are just going to dance around the situation, create the impression that things are being done to solve the problem, while some of them are benefiting at our blind side. And I think that we as a country, we as the ordinary citizens, should show enough anger and let them know that we are not happy about what is happening, and compel them, push them, even against their will, push them to actually act in the way that will safeguard the future of our environment.
Boakye, thank you so much for speaking with us. That's Boakye Chumesi, who is Deputy Executive Director for Tropembos. Now, let's move on to some other stories, but still in the field of illegal mining, because what we do know now is that lawyers for Bernard Boisiaku, popularly known as Chairman Wuntumi, who is the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, led by Andy Apiakubi, have confirmed receipt of the Attorney General's notice of withdrawal of the General Manager of Akonta Mining from prosecution. Now, according to Andy Apiakubi, the Attorney General has every right within his jurisdiction to withdraw charges against an accused person. And he added that despite the withdrawal, it will not affect the prosecution of their defense. Apiakubi made these remarks while speaking to journalists after two high courts in Accra adjourned their separate cases to November 12th and December 4, respectively. Get some better details on this from legal affairs correspondent Mutala Kwenote Inusa. Mutala, so talk to me, give me more details about this particular development, because we spoke about it here in the morning, and now the lawyers they say they are unperturbed. Is that the impression?
Yes, Joshua Kodjo Mensah for Andy Apiakubi. He thinks that, yes, if you look at the section activated by the Attorney General, the AG has every right to withdraw charges against any accused person at any given point in time. But for them, what is key is that they are before the court, they have a plan, they have a strategy to be able to mount at the proper defense. So once they have received that processes, they will scrutinize it, and then when they come, when they are supposed to account, they will be able to mount a defense. But let me take you to the courtroom itself and update you on what happened. So the cases are two, in respect of one involving Chairman Wuntumi and two others before Justice Audrey Kokuvite, the criminal court. This morning, the court, the parties appeared for case management conference. However, lawyers of Andy Chairman Wuntumi indicated to the court that they have not been served with Attorney General's processes. The AG confirmed that they filed it on the 31st of October, and they then have to ask for an adjournment. The court confirmed that, yes, indeed, the AG has filed it, and the accused persons have not been served. So that case was adjourned to October 11, I beg your pardon. Sorry, I'm saying taking you back to October. November 11. So November 11, they will come to court and case management conference will be held. But before they even left the courtroom, the bailiff appeared and served them with the processes that they were earlier informed the court that they were not served. But Joshua, I remember that at the last court sitting, one of the issues that happened was that Chairman Wuntumi was late to court and a bench warrant was issued. This time around, he came to court very, very early as 8:30. He was present in the courtroom waiting for 9 a.m. for the case to be called. And like I have said of the judge, Justice Audrey Kokuvite, she appears to be the judge that would not countenance any lateness in her court. So when the case was called, the AG representatives were a bit she made that very clear to the parties before the case was adjourned to the then that case.
The Attorney General has filed the disclosures, but we were not served. So we have now received service of the Attorney General's disclosures. We are going to study and prepare for the case management conference. First one to which we will also prepare for the commencement of the trial. We are coming back on the 12th of November for the case management conference. The other case in court one, we have been served with also the disclosures. We are coming back on the 4th of December for mention, which presupposes that nothing serious will happen on the 4th of December. It is most likely that we will take another date when we appear on the 4th of December. So the conditions as before today all stand the same. We will come on the appointed dates to prepare ourselves for the business of the day. We are very grateful.
Well, you're still watching Newsroom here on GHOne television. Let's do some more stories. Let me take you up north, where the Ghana Police Service in the Upper East region has initiated a manhunt for unidentified gunmen responsible for shooting 2 immigration officers in the Timpani district. Now, the incident occurred on Sunday, November 2, 2025, at approximately 10 p.m. near Nagani, Basionde. Now, according to a police statement, the officers were ambushed while returning to base after a routine foot patrol. The attackers opened fire, stealing 2 AK-47 rifles belonging to the Ghana Immigration Service. The officers were then rushed to the Bolgatanga Regional Hospital, where one was pronounced dead on arrival, while the other remains under treatment. Now, Inspector General of Police Christian GHOne has deployed a team of investigators and intelligence officers to Timpani to support the investigation and apprehend the perpetrators. The Upper East Regional Police Command, in a statement, assured the public that a thorough investigation is underway to bring those responsible to justice. And they've also appealed to residents of the Garu and Timpani areas and its surrounding communities to remain calm and cooperate by providing information that could assist in the investigation. Well, let's get some more clarity on this matter by speaking to our Upper East Regional correspondent, Kasim Idrisu. Kasim, so what more do we know following the unfortunate incident that happened on Sunday?
All right, so I can say some suspect has been arrested by the Joint Security Force that's led by the Ghana Armed Forces. This morning we were told that they were arranged for assault this morning, but after we made follow-up, we understand they transferred them from the region to the Greater Accra region for better investigation.
And so, in terms of the arrests that have been made, following the incident, what is the police saying, aside the statement that they put out there?
For now, the police have not been able to talk to us, but all what they are saying is that they are suspected and they want to fish out the case and do some prevention better and hard.
But how are residents reacting to this development, Kasim?
They are living here. The plan is called the first time of them. The plan is one of the big areas in the Upper East, so they are all living.
And in terms of safety and morale among the personnel themselves, what have you been able to glean so far?
All right. But at the safety of this, I can say there's more security personnel on the ground, making sure that the total area they are also protected. So all people enter.
Very well. Kasim, thank you. Thank you so much. We'll leave you to keep monitoring events for us there. But then, speaking on GA today as well, on this development, Member of Parliament for Yendi, Abdul Fattah Al-Hassan Jofa, is pushing for an insurance packages for military personnel, also the Ghana Immigration Service personnel. It follows the recent shooting of 2 immigration officers at Nagani in the Timpani district of the Upper East region. Now, the MP believes that provision of insurance for these personnel will boost morale in the service.
Just last week, when I went home, one of the guys who was killed is from my constituency.
Oh, wow.
Yes. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. You go and it's just the breadwinner for the family. In fact, the family sought to even heave a sigh of relief because at least they also have their son somewhere working. And all of a sudden, they are told that the man is shot dead. Now, what we are seeing is that those who are there are all crying to leave those areas.
Yeah. Because they feel unsafe.
That is it. Now they leave the house and they are going there and they don't know whether, like Dr. said, whether they will return. And so we have to have a way around it. They cannot be the people to be suffering these things. The people who bring in these items, they will want to have the borders be as porous and as loose as possible so that they can do their things. And it tells you that these our immigration officers are doing something right. That is why the people would be at them like that. If they were colluding, even though we know that some of them are doing their own business there, but to the extent that the people will find their presence there to be a hindrance to their flow of business, it means that they are doing something right. And we must find every means to support them. And we have to find a way to even provide an insurance package for these people who lose their lives. I heard there was a time they were proposing insurance for police officers. Yes. We have to have a similar one for the immigration. The family, they can't just lose their loved ones like that, and that will be all they can.
Well, so that's the Member of Parliament for Yendi, but some of you have also been sharing thoughts concerning the proposal is made that we should have insurance packages for immigration service personnel. And Nanama Akwa is joining me with some of those comments that you were making on social media in relation to this particular proposal. Nana, so what is the reaction like?
Let's move straight over to Facebook. We have Abdul Samid, who says all security services should be insured, particularly life assurance. It's very important. Teda says this shouldn't be a discussion. I thought all security services were insured. Then Mohammed says this insurance thing should have been for all essential workers, including health personnel, such as nurses. We also have Stanley, who says, on the other side, is that going to prevent them from dying or from attacks? The security should also be paramount. Isaac says not only immigration officers, but all public servants, because their lives are at risk in these areas. Then we have Wildo, who says, wow, so all this while they were not insured. Nana Kumi says, let's rather advocate for protective accoutrement for all servicemen. Insurance can't solve the problem of killing servicemen. The police, immigration, prisons and the like should be well equipped to enable them safeguard themselves. Also, men in uniform should be alert while in, on or off duty. Insurance will rather worsen the situation, he thinks. Then Kweku JJ says every occupation has its hazards. The most important thing is that they are having the requisite, sorry about that, technology here and there, okay. Okay, no, we will not. Let's move this out of the way. Okay. We're not having the requisite training or skills, the needed tools and logistics to protect them against harm. Ahiave says they should be extra vigilant and alert because as far as you are holding a rifle, you are the main target. Know this. God watch over us. We also have William. Everyone can take personal insurance. It's not solely the employer's duty. We all need to take the necessary precautions. Poor Abby says, and even all security personnel. Patrick thinks it's a very good initiative. We also have Salifu. They should allow all immigration service personnel to use weapons like police and soldiers. You can see immigration officers, only one weapon on the duty post. King Jamal says that immigration officers in Ghana are insured. Okay. Then Michael says they should also be armed. Lami Lamte says, what a shocking revelation that has been hidden all this while. Oh, Ghana, what are we doing to ourselves? Ghana shall be great again. Mikhail says yes, all security services. Selassie says insured and being given good guns. Prince agrees and says 100%. Same with the next comment there. Then we also have Richmond. Yes, this shouldn't even be a question. They ought to have been insured long ago. Look at the risk they find themselves in. Then when we move on, okay, all right, let's leave it there. My name is Nanama Aqua. Let's hope they will be insured so that if in case something happens to them, their families will get the requisite funds to be able to support them moving on. My name is Nanama Aqua. Joshua, back over to you.
Well, many thanks, Nanama, for sharing the thoughts of our viewers with us on social media. This is still news from here on GHOne Television. We'll take a breather and return with more stories. Thank you so much for staying on with us here on stage, on Newsroom here on GHOne Television. Now, investigative journalist Mensah GHOne says there is a glimmer of hope in the current administration's fight against corruption. However, he cautions that this should not signal the end of the efforts, noting that his petition against Zoomlion, which had been pending since 2013, has only recently received presidential attention, resulting in a temporary halt in the renewal of the company's contract. Speaking in an interview on State of Affairs last night, Mensah GHOne warned that one of the major obstacles to the office of the right to accountability and legal oversight achieving its mandate could be the very state anti-corruption agencies expected to support its work.
The OSB should be telling Ghanaians is, did this deal only emanate from those of the public sector, and that SML officials, especially the CEO of the company, Evans Eduse, is he totally innocent? We're also talking about the amount of money being mentioned here, and it's a bit surprising that we've paid over 1.4 billion to a company that we are told did not deserve to be paid anything, and all we are asking for is only 125 million, which is woefully inadequate. I'm saying this because if you look at the SML contract, they have different categories.
Okay.
There is the external price verification at the port, and also transaction audit aspect of the contract.
Well, let's do some other stories. We apologize for the wrong said there. We'll bring you the right one in subsequent bulletins. Now, the Ghana Journalists Association has described the discontinuation of the murder case of investigative journalist Ahmed Swaleh as unacceptable and a very dangerous precedent. Now, the president of the association, Albert Kwabena, speaking at a press briefing on Monday to mark the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists, expressed deep frustration over the failure of the authorities to bring closure to the case 7 years after the Journalists Association.
See with deep concern and utter disappointment the news that the Medina District Court on October 14, 2025, discharged a suspect in the murder case of investigative journalist Ahmed Hussein Swaleh, following the decision of the Attorney General's Department to discontinue the prosecution. This development coming several years after the cold-blooded murder of Ahmed Swaleh in January 2019 raises serious questions about the commitment and capacity of the state to pursue justice for slain journalists and protect press freedom in Ghana. The GHOne finds it extremely worrying that after such a heinous crime that shocked the nation and the international media community, justice continues to elude the family of Ahmed Swaleh and the entire media fraternity. The inability of the state to bring the perpetrators of this crime to book after nearly 7 years represents a grave blot on Ghana's record as a democracy that plies itself on the rule of law and freedom of expression. The Attorney General has sent a signal to the Ghana Police Service in regards to the case. The signal I saw, was not to discharge or to withdraw the case, but the signal was to direct the Ghana Police Service or the police to intensify the investigation and also try as much as they could to arrest the other perpetrators involved in this heinous crime.
The Vice President of the Republic, Her Excellency Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, has reaffirmed the government's commitment to advancing policies that promote the welfare and empowerment of women and girls, particularly in education, health, and economic participation. Now, delivering a message on her behalf at the Women in Gospel Music Celebration, Press Secretary and spokesperson of the Vice President, Amma Pratt, commended the group's initiative to support schoolgirls with sanitary towels, describing it as timely and life-changing act of compassion. She noted that menstrual hygiene remains a major barrier to girls' education in rural Ghana, where many students miss school due to lack of sanitary pads and inadequate sanitation facilities.
Approximately 1 in 4 girls in rural northern communities miss school during their menstrual periods, leading to significant learning losses and decreased confidence. The root cause of this problem lies in the limited access to sanitary pads and poor school sanitation and hygienic facilities. Many girls are forced to use less safe materials, which increases the risk of infections and other health complications. This initiative aligns perfectly with the ongoing efforts under the leadership of His Excellency President, John Dramani Mahama, who continues to champion the empowerment and well-being of women and girls across Ghana.
Now, the People's National Convention, PNC, has pledged to make Hausa and Chi the official languages for daily use across Ghana if given the mandate to govern after the 2028 general elections. The party says the move is part of efforts to promote local identity and strengthen national unity through indigenous languages. Khadija Idi has more in this report.
Just like we do for any political party or institution, we are ready to avail all our platforms from Kasapa to Empire FM in Takrade, Radio 360 to Agu FM in Nkoko, Ultimate in Kumasi and Ebusia, Star FM, Kasapa in Accra and GHOne. PNC, come through. We'll take part in our morning show discussions, our political news and current affairs program, and I believe that we will make a headway. It's all about the national interests. And once we get into that conversation, I believe that will help build a great country. So the part.
Well, again, we apologize for that wrong inset there. We'll bring you the right one in subsequent bulletins, but let's do business now.
The Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Well, the State Housing Company Limited has expressed deep concern over substantial debt default by its clients amounting to hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis. Now, according to the State Housing Company, despite being a state institution, it relies solely on internally generated funds as it does not receive government subvention. This situation, according to the SHC, is severely impacting its operations, prompting the company to urge debtors to fulfill the obligations to the company. To facilitate maximum revenue recovery, the company has introduced a 15% discount window effective now until December 31st.
Some of these debts go back as far as 6 years. What happened in the past was that sometimes you would have people come in and agree payment plans to settle their debts. Along the way, they abandon paying. And we have to go after them for, in various ways to try to recover the debt. As we speak this year, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, in a year for Greater Accra alone, we are supposed to collect close to 90 million. We are currently tracking around 50 million. If I extend this by extension to the regional capitals where we have fewer estates, to be fair, I would put the figure in excess, if you add all of the old debts, in excess of 200 million Ghana cedis that the company is owed through various different means. And we are attempting to educate the public on why they need to satisfy these obligations as part of this campaign.
Well, Minister for Communication, Digitalization and Innovation, Sam George, says government is preparing to roll out the Data Harmonization Act and localization policy to strengthen the infrastructure needed to store and process data locally in Ghana. Speaking at the launch of Digital Realty, a global real estate investment trust that owns and operates career-neutral data centers worldwide, the minister underscored the importance of attracting hyperscalers like Digital Realty as part of efforts to position Ghana as a hub for advanced digital infrastructure.
Digital Realty, a leading global real estate investment trust specializing in carrier-neutral data centers, has commissioned Ghana's first and largest data center, ACR2, in Accra. The state-of-the-art facility, designed to support up to 1.7 megawatts of IT load and accommodate 500 racks, marks a major milestone in Ghana's digital transformation journey. It offers reliable, scalable solutions for enterprises, cloud providers, and financial institutions. Managing Director of Digital Realty Ghana, Joseph Kranting, said the centre's strategic location, hosting the 2 Africa submarine cables, gives clients seamless access to Digital Realty's global network of more than 300 data centers across 6 continents. Minister for Communication, Digitalization and Innovations, Sam George, described the launch as a critical step toward attracting hyperscalers and strengthening Ghana's digital infrastructure. He emphasized that the government's localization policy and Data Harmonization Act now make it possible to securely store and process local data within the country.
But for us, the beauty of where we're going is if we have the localization policy, it then means that all of the local data and traffic that's been processed on clouds outside the country will all have to sit here. And now you have the facilities here that offer you the same services, the facilities outside that you're going to. So grow the local economy in Ghana here and keep the workloads and the traffic here.
With the commissioning of the ACR2 data center, Ghana takes a decisive step toward becoming a regional digital hub, positioning itself to drive innovation, data sovereignty, and sustainable technological growth.
Well, in some more business stories, the Soya Value Chain Association of Ghana is calling on the government to immediately lift the soybean export ban, warning that the restriction continues to threaten the livelihoods of thousands of farmers, aggregators and processors across the country. According to the association, since the introduction of the Export and Import Regulations 2022, which is LI 2467, which replaced the restrictions on exportation of soybean Regulations 2020 LI 2432, Ghana has imposed export restrictions on 3 key agricultural commodities: rice, maize and soya. Now, these commodities are essential for both human and animal nutrition, making their regulation crucial for national food security. The association has consistently advocated a more transparent and inclusive export permit system, highlighting that the current committee responsible for granting export permits lacks adequate representation from key industry stakeholders, including the association itself. Let's speak to Executive Secretary of the Soya Value Chain Association of Ghana, Yawe Frifa. He's joined me via Zoom. Yeah, so beyond lifting the ban, what long-term steps do you also recommend to strengthen the soya industry in Ghana?
Great, thank you, and happy to be here with you today. I think in the long term, what should be done is to be concentrating on local processors who are the off-takers and value addition institutions that will be able to process soya and maintain the value chain. They convert soya into soya oil and then soya meal and then soya cake for the animal consumption and for human consumption. So in the long term, I think what it's needed is, one, to make sure that the local processors who process them into meal and oil are resourced to be able to offtake from farmers when they do that. Again, I think soya looks like, I call it the brown gold. It is the opportunity. It is now the cash crop for the north. And so all the northern regions are able to do, and as we speak now, all the about 5 or 6 northern regions have their livelihood hinged on soya beans. And so we should look at that area and see if we can increase production. I think Ghana is one of the lowest production per acre yields. They have one of the worst yields. And so we should be looking at trying to help farmers to be able to make soya and see soya as a commercial farm and a wealth creation business, so that it will enhance economic development of the country.
But really, how urgent is it for the government to lift the ban on soybean? Because the bigger question, I guess, would be, what impact has the ban had?
Thank you so much, my brother. It is a very big challenge. The issue at stake now is that, like I told you, the northern communities or the northern regions, there's just one season farming the year. And so everything is hinged on that. And as we speak now, soya beans is the most cultivated crop in the north. And so the youth, the women are all into this. The whole livelihood of the north is hinged on soya beans. And as we speak, because of last year, the dry extension of the dry spell, production levels went a little down. And then because of the ban, the prices also went so much down. Prices moved from 1,002 to almost 600 Ghana cedi last year. This year, as we speak, the beginning of the harvesting season, we see it at around 500 Ghana cedi. Once harvesting starts, it is seen as if it's the bumper season, so prices are likely to go down again. The crop budget for soya beans should be around 550, 600. And as we speak now, the crop is being sold at 500. That's the peak of the season. Now that there is going to be harvesting, it is going to go down. Does it mean that crops or farmers are going to sell below crop budget? It means that how much they invested is going to go down. I mean, it's like a business rundown from the beginning. You farm at 500 per acre, and now you are selling it lower than the crop budget. And so virtually we are taking the livelihoods of the north from them. It is a very critical situation, which is likely to create insecurity in the place, because the youth, the livelihood of the whole people rests on soya beans. Now that they have farmed and now they are going to sell below crop budget, it means they have run loss from the very beginning. This is a very crucial situation that might, it's likely to discourage them from farming soya.
Right.
And again, the soya beans is a base for the poultry industry. If the soya bean industry collapses, what are we doing?
Quite interesting. But then, what has the engagement been like with the various stakeholders, including government, in trying to get this ban lifted?
This issue is purely a problem with government. It is only in Ghana that regulators think that they should be leaders. But the government has the regulation role in governance. So to me, why don't they want to leave leadership of the society, these groups, to civil society who understand the dynamics? Because already there is a restriction in place to control exportation. What was the use of the ban? There was no use. If you wanted to restrict, continue to restrict. Just make sure that you didn't give it. But the pronunciation of the ban alone makes the aggregators take advantage of the system and say that, well, your government says that they are not, we cannot export. So if you want me to help you, then I buy it at this price. And they buy it below the crop budget. So the ban is just creating a mess down there. The soya processors who should have been taking this in have been put out of market. They don't have the financial capacity to be able to buy from them. As we speak now, because of the US and the China war, US is not able to send their soya beans to China. So it has dumped soya meal here in Ghana at a very low price, so much that the local processors, when they process, are not able to compete with those prices. So the local processors cannot buy. The export market, which would have solved the problem of the smallholder farmer, is also being blocked. This is a human rights issue. Why do you encourage people to go into farming and at the end of the day block their, their incomes? The local processors cannot buy, the exporters do, you are banning them. So what should the farmer do?
Well,
and as if they know, since 2 years ago, government is not subsidizing agriculture. They are not supporting farmers to produce with anything. So the farmer has to go and borrow his own money for plowing, for production. And after that, you say they shouldn't buy his crops. It's a very pathetic situation, and it needs urgent attention. This thing, soya has, we have starting harvesting from November, and this thing shouldn't go the next week or two. We should lift the ban immediately. Thank you.
Briefly, how does the current lack of representation for your association on the Export Permit Committee impact the decision of the local farmers?
Yes, because in fact, let me make it clear that it was the same Soya Value Chain Association that called for this restriction in 2020, because after COVID-19, most of the international buyers couldn't go to Brazil, Argentina, and the US because of COVID. So they came to Ghana to realize that Ghana was even having a non-GMO status, which was very good, nearly organic. And so the international community since then has jumped to us. Before COVID, 100 kg bag of soya was about 100 Ghana cedi. When they came in, it jumped from 100 Ghana cedi to 1,200, not just because of the market, but also because inputs were also increasing. Now, they have come to see all these opportunities and they are buying and giving the farmer at least the opportunity to sell and recover the cost and make some margins. Then you come in to say you have banned. We called for this restriction. When we called and they set up the committee stated that the Minister of Agriculture should nominate a soya producer on the committee. Now I'm asking them, is he a soya grain producer, a soya seed producer, a soya milk producer, or a soya meal producer? Who are they talking about? So it looks like as if government himself doesn't understand the value chain.
Absolutely.
So we say, make actors the leaders of this committee and remain as government your regulatory role in the committee. We are not calling for too much.
Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. We appreciate the concerns, and of course, we hope that the appropriate quarters will take immediate action. But it's time to bring you the sports.
The Business Brief was brought to you by Compu Ghana, passion for technology. The Ghana USACO.
Welcome to Sports, where the Saxo Volleyball Championship kicks off in the month of November live on GHOne TV. Of course, according to the founder, Mohamed Apeturk has faced one of the toughest challenges, and that is funding. Now, speaking exclusively on EIB Sports on the game, he noted that logistics plays a big role setting the standards for this volleyball championship.
Like it is, when we started SVC, we always said that we wanted to go West Africa. And so I strongly didn't believe that we would have done it in just 4 editions, you know. I felt like, it would have taken time and all of that, because it is a sport that, even though a lot of people enjoy, we don't get the needed push and the needed visibility and mileage. And that's why I believe that Super Volleyball Championship is going to give volleyball the representation that it deserves. And on this note, I want to thank the EIB brand for coming on board to help us push this agenda. You guys have been amazing so far. You've done great with this project, and I believe that we can only grow from here. Sure. And so, for this year, like I said, we have already achieved that, which is to go West Africa. And from next year, we will just have to continue to increase the number of teams, give it the needed buzz, and ensure that we are able to use SVC to push the grassroots of volleyball in Ghana.
After all these challenges, Mohamed Apeturk believes it is time this Saxo Volleyball Championships brings more visibility and mileage to volleyball in the country.
It has always been funding.
It's Kasem.
Because the standard you want it is funding.
Yeah.
I give you an example. You want to pay, you are playing, for this year we are playing about 7 days. You are going to pay referees. Every day you have to pay them, you have to feed them for the 7 days. You pay them allowances. Possibly sometimes you have to bath them and all of that. If the means were there, then it means you have to even accommodate them, you know. And that is big budget when it comes to even just the refereeing body alone. You understand me? Before, when we started, we struggled with venues. We had to rent Gamashi Hall. renting Gamashi Hall for a day is no cheap money. So that is another big thing. And because initially volleyball wasn't up there, trying to get sponsorship was very difficult, you know. But then now, like I keep saying, now gradually we are making the mark and we are seeing some signs. But the challenging thing I would say is funding.
Today we have got Champions League football also returning tonight with some interesting matchups. Join us on the game and also on Sports Digest on radio, Star FM, for more on the UEFA Champions League games on tonight. That's it for sports.
Now, the military commander who has ruled Guinea since a coup 4 years ago has entered the presidential race ahead of the next month's election, breaking an earlier promise to hand power to a civilian government. General Mamadi Doumbouya submitted his candidacy at the Supreme Court on Monday, flanked by soldiers and wearing black sunglasses. Now, he did not make any public comments. Two of Guinea's biggest opposition parties, the RPG ARC and CL and the UFDG, have been excluded from December's contest. This has raised concerns about the election's credibility. December's election will take place in the absence of several prominent figures, such as ex-President Condé, who was kicked out of power in 2021, and former Prime Minister Selou Dalien, all of whom are currently living abroad. Well, that's it for the bulletin this afternoon. Good afternoon.